The new prime minister of Italy is being smeared as being evil. Giorgia Meloni claims victory to become Italy's, they say, most far-right prime minister since Mussolini. Oh, everything is either Hitler or Mussolini. Oh my gosh. It's crazy. Weeping and gnashing of the teeth. Oh. Okay, so I and everybody else on God's green earth was looking into this lady over the weekend. I only know a little bit about her. I know more about her party, but I don't know a lot about her. She's not far right. She's not far right at all. I mean, she looks pretty normal. They got mad at her because of her speech. Her party is the Brothers of Italy. And there was a really good piece over by Rod Dreher who got into the history of her party. And he was getting into this, it's the Brothers of Italy and the history of the party and how, where it has its roots. And they said that he wrote for the 100th time, reporting of the U.S. media on the European right is not to be believed. And he's not a right-winger. In fact, I don't like him very much. He says, your problem, he was saying that it was the media's problem. He says it's true that Meloni's party, the Brothers of Italy, has roots in 20th century fascism, but she herself is a standard right-wing populist, and that she is a social conservative. She opposes gender ideology. She's skeptical of political and economic globalism. She was raised working class in Rome by a single mother. Her father abandoned the family. She holds strong to her Roman accent. He says she gave a 15-minute speech a couple of years ago, and she kind of sounded like a moderate. Really, I mean, it's if she's a fascist, but then remember, all the left in the United States thinks everyone who isn't them is a fascist. They say, oh, she's the most far right prime minister out there. I thought the future was female, though.
Not if you're conservative.
Yeah, I thought the future was female. It's interesting because I was looking at a couple of things, Tom Elliott, and then I was also looking at actually what they stood for. What did Italy's fascists stand for? Since you've had all of these media entities try to write her off as this far right, Mussolini loving new PM. I mean, he founded the fascist party. His platform is very interesting, and it sounds pretty similar to some things that I've seen here. The Guardian has a great write-up on the platform of Mussolini. There's a couple of these out there. And when you look at what they believe in, they also believed in lowering the voting age. They also believed in a minimum wage, like lowering the minimum voting wage. They also believed in, I guess the beginning of a universal income. They wanted a national council to handle everything. They didn't want a Senate in Mussolini's platform. They wanted a council that handled everything from industry to commerce to culture to labor. They looked at expanding Italy's power in opposition to any other form of foreign imperialism. They wanted to control how long people worked and how they worked. It sounds, and contract working, when you think of gig jobs, it sounds very similar. They wanted to take over people's land, to cultivate their lands and have them expropriated and given to different cooperatives. Wow, where are we seeing that at? With ESG, with Netherlands and Sri Lanka? You don't know how to farm your land. We're the government. We're bureaucrats. We have no experience in this, but we're going to do it for you. They wanted to control the schools and the education for the, quote, proletariat's moral and cultural condition. They wanted a progressive tax on the rich so that people could, well, it's basically the 1919 version of pay your fair share. Everything that's in their platform, weirdly, sounds very similar. Very similar indeed. Imagine that. And that's another thing that people don't realize. Something that's right wing in Europe does not mean it's right wing in the United States. You're going by the founding documents. That's the basis on which you determine whether or not someone is right or left. By applying that same definition to Europe or anything else, you're essentially trying to superimpose on those nations our definitions based on our founding documents when our documents differ greatly from theirs. It is a stupid anti-intellectual move to try to make the argument for, this leftist cause or this leftist narrative. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, their constitution's vastly different from ours. So is Russia's. Not everything. The far right in the United States is not the far right in Europe. It's not the far right in Russia. It's not the far right in the UK. I mean, Mussolini, everything on him, he was a leftist. This is what the left loves. The power of the state, the power of authority, controlling the schools, controlling the wage, controlling commerce, controlling farms, controlling travel, controlling speech, everything. Who does that sound like to you here in the United States? Because it sure as hell doesn't sound like the people who want the government to leave them alone, i.e. conservatives. Their platform is indistinguishable from the left. Because they are not the right.